desire that we all have, let alone people in Ukraine, to begin to see something that might resemble an end to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Are we seeing that or not?
I don't think so. I think the Ukrainians have inflicted a defeat on the Russians around Kiev, but I think most people agree that the Russians will be redeploying to Donbass to fight the battle there, aim their firepower there, probably try to hold on to Kherson, which is the piece of Ukraine that is next to Crimea.
And Kherson is currently occupied by the Russians.
The main city is, yes.
And what is their intention with Kherson? What is their intention now?
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355.
Want to hold pieces of land which they say are held by Russian speakers who they call compatriots, because they take the language you speak for your ethnicity, which isn't really the case anywhere in the world. And they have, well, at least the elite have
Keep right.
what we would call an imperial ideology, that the Ukrainians don't exist, so they don't have a right to exist separate from Russian control. So they have this dehumanizing ideology about the Ukrainians, which helps to explain the thing that you said, which is the executions of civilians outside that they found in Bucha yesterday.
Yeah, and seemingly elsewhere, we're beginning to see walkthroughs from Western correspondents now. We're beginning to see pictures which are extremely disturbing. The human stories are going to be coming out for days, weeks, months, and years ahead now. As far as Mr. Putin's intentions go, what are they from here? And I wonder if you could also address whether it matters to him what Russian people are seeing and thinking.
On the first one, I think one of the...
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London, Heathrow Airport.
Expand their control over Donbass. I mean, people say it's the separatist-backed Donbass, but in effect, it's been run by the Russians for this whole period since 2014-15. And they will try to expand their control there, and they could possibly present that as a victory at home. But at home, they're telling the opposite story through their control of the TV. So when they show the pictures of destroyed Mariupol, they say that it's the Ukrainian nationalists who have done it, i.e. they've...
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
Ideology that Ukrainians are nationalists or Nazis, and over a long period of time they dehumanized this, and they're using this to, say they're not really human. We can do to them what we want, and this helps to explain the dehumanizing ideology. So on Russian telly, the destruction of Mariupol is because of Nazis, Ukrainian Nazis. So they're telling the opposite story.
But they still have access to the internet. The young look west, and surely the truth, as more and more people return from this region, more information is dealt with and disseminated through free channels. Surely they will see the truth.
Well, there's two things happening. One, a lot of those people, the young people you're talking about, are leaving. They don't want to live under some sort of revived Stalinism. And the other thing is, no matter how bad or good control is, people don't want to say in public that they don't believe what the government is, because they can see what the government can do to them. So it's a pretty dark phase, not just in Ukraine. I mean, obviously the most disastrous in Ukraine, but it's a pretty dark period ahead for Russia, I would say.
Yeah, indeed. So it's not possible to dissent. So any poll that we might see about the support for Putin is to be taken with that pinch of salt.
I mean, exactly. I mean, would you say that you disagree with Putin if you lived in Ireland? So I assume other people don't.
No, I wouldn't, even if I was out and about in the free world either. I wouldn't, certainly wouldn't if I had family or if I was in Russia. In terms of the next sort of month or 2 months, if we're to see any progress for Ukraine as it regains territory, I mean, is that the picture that you see?
They are regaining territory. They're gaining it in the north, in Sumy, which is a northern province, and they've opened up taken more land there. And they've seen off the Russians at Mykolaiv, down on the south of the coast, which is the coast to Odessa. But I suspect that the Russians will concentrate on taking Mariupol and expand standing in the Donbass and probably trying to hold on to Kherson, and that will be, then they'll declare victory, because at some point, I mean, some people disagree with this, but at some point the sanctions will kick in and they look pretty severe. They look like they're going to do pretty severe damage to the Russian economy.
And you would expect Vladimir Putin to face crimes of being, or charges of being a war criminal?
I imagine he will, but whether he personally will face it to survive to see, I know it takes a long time. I mean, the ones when Yugoslavia fell apart, the wars in Yugoslavia, they took 25 years to come to fruition, so he probably won't be alive then. But some of the people who've committed these crimes that we've seen this morning, some of those probably will face trials.
Thank you very much indeed for your observations. David Dalton, researcher at UCL's School of Slavonic and East European Studies, former Ukraine analyst at the Economist Intelligence Unit. Catherine Fishchenko joins me now, a radiologist staying near Kyiv with her husband Alex, who is also a doctor, and both are helping out in a local hospital. A very good morning to you, Catherine.
Good morning.
What is the situation for you and your husband now? What sort of injuries are you seeing? What is the quality of your life? How hard are you working?
So, what about injuries? I'd have to say that now this territory are free from Russian troops, so everything is normal. Not okay, but it's normal. So it's just some ordinary injuries, like some broken leg, or maybe some wounds, or not a big deal for them. What about our quality of life? I'd like to say that for everyone who are in Ukraine, we have a habit to not to sleep at night. So, of course, quality of our life and our house is probably not in a good condition. So we all the time afraid for our life, afraid of life of our relatives. We all the time are on phone and call to everyone, check every morning our friends, how are they alive, are they safe, so something like that.
Whereabouts do you stay every evening with your husband? You don't stay at your home?
Now we stay home because with the bomb shelter is full. It's mostly full by children, so it's okay. It's better to them to stay there. So we stay at home in the hall. We use the rule of two walls to protect us. So I don't know how it will help against Iskander or something like that, but we want to believe that it's safe.
Do you have heating? There's gas operating still, things like that? Just general day-to-day preparation of food is possible?
It's all possible. We have gas. Everything is okay here. But now the weather is good enough for us not to use gas. So it's, I think, well for everyone in Europe and for us also, because we are not very dependent on Russian gas.
Did you ever think about leaving?
I like to think that I thought about it when the war started, but the problem is my husband don't want to leave. He will stay here. Even when he could, he decided not to leave Ukraine. It's our motherland. I couldn't leave because my husband is here. It's my home. happened, and I don't know how I will continue talk to Russians, talk to my relatives that live there. I don't know how I will continue to live with this pain that they have done.
And if Russian people, if the public in Russia are listening to you now, what is your message to Russian people?
Let's say one thing, that I have friends, a lot of friends there, and I can say that they don't hear, they don't listen. I can say them that they need to fight for their children, not for Ukraine, because their children will live in such country, and their granddaughters, grandsons will live in such country. They will live in the rules that they have now, with the president and what they've done to this country, but not to fight for Ukraine. We don't need to fight for us, we will fight by ourselves. But they are doing this for themselves, for their children, for their families. Is it okay to live in a country that you can speak, you can go out and protest for something, you don't have right to vote, to freely speak?
In 2 miles, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Like that. Catherine, thank you very much indeed for your time. We really appreciate it. Regards to you and your husband, Alex. That is Catherine Fishchenko, who is a radiologist. She's staying in Kyiv with her husband, Alex. He's a doctor. They're helping at a local hospital. Extraordinary. I don't really have a question to ask you. It's just so brain deadening, that the whole thing, the accounts of what Russian soldiers have done now, is too horrific to even go into. You'll have read some reports, you'll have seen some reports. I won't have to repeat it now. It's a shocker. 7:17 is the time. Coming up, the number of first-time food bank users is on the rise in light of rising bills, the cost of living crisis. You know the deal. Here is a single mother speaking to this station this week.
We have one meal a day, James. They go without breakfast. You know, they all say, Mum, I'm fine. But it's the guilt I live with, but I make sure I give them a meal. I'll eat their leftovers. That's the situation, and it is getting bad.
Yeah, it is a reality, isn't it? More after the news on that, and I'll go through the papers as well. Amelia Cox.
President Zelensky has warned Russian troops will target southern and eastern Ukraine as explosions are heard in the port of Odessa. Conservative MP David Warburton has had the whip withdrawn while an investigation is carried out into his conduct. And the Chancellor is facing pressure from the SNP and Lib Dems to provide more support for families struggling with the cost of living crisis. The weather, a cold but sunny start for England, Wales and southern Scotland. Showers developing later. Cloudy elsewhere with rain moving in from the northwest, a high of 10 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Chorner. One lane is closed on the M25 going clockwise between the Clackett Lane services and Junction 6.
In a quarter of a mile, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Because of a police investigation following a building fire that happened this Friday. In Chelsea, one lane is closed on the chain walk moving eastbound because of an accident at Battersea Bridge. And a reminder, there's the London Landmarks Half Marathon today, meaning a lot of road closures around central London.
Exit at junction 3.
All the way to Temple Hill. That means that the Strand, Pall Mall, Whitehall and Trafalgar Square are going to be closed along with many others, and that closure will remain in place.
In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway, A312.
LBC.
There is simply nothing else like it. Disney's award-winning musical, The Lion King, at London's Lyceum Theatre. See it now. Remember it forever.
Everyone loves getting a great price on their favourite things, right? That's why at Sainsbury's we're not just giving you Nectar points, we're giving you your own Nectar prices too. Yep, tailored discounts on hand-picked products we think you'll like when you shop in store with Smart Shop. And the more you shop, the more tailored your discounted products become. Fancy? So what are you waiting for? Check your Nectar app to learn more about your prices. Smart shop and digital Nectar registration required. Items subject to availability. Exclusions apply. Visit nectar.com/mynectar prices for more info.
Here we go. A quick shop at a local BP. A scanner at BP Me rewards card. She's got a promotion code. Back home now. Hubby's got his feet up.
Some tired legs out there.
Sidesteps the dog and squares up to the laptop. The code goes into the box and it's there. She's won a pair of Premier League tickets.
Don't see this very often.
Well, actually, there's a pair to be won every hour and a half.
At the end of the day, it's all about 90 minutes.
Scan your BP Me rewards card between 6 a.m. and midnight for the chance to win Premier League tickets. Closes 2nd of May 2022. Full T's and C's at bpmerewards.co.uk/scan to score.
At Free Now, we're best known for our taxis, but actually we're the mobility super...
Exit the roundabout onto the parkway.
Travelling around London has never been easier. So you can step on it with e-scooters, get motoring this afternoon with private hire cars.
Continue on the parkway for 1 mile.
The cycle lane with e-bikes. And just like always, if you need a taxi, all you do is tap and go. Free Now, get there your way.
Booking a hotel can be a bit of a hassle. The fake reviews, the endless options, not to mention the fear of getting a bad deal. But with Premier Inn, you can cast all those worries aside because with us you know exactly what you're getting. Like great value family rooms at over 800 locations, plenty of parking and delicious food to please everyone, even the fussy ones. So you can family trip without any of the faff. Premier Inn, breathtaking. Only available to book at premierin.com. Andrew Castle on LBC.
And a very good morning to you. We are talking about Ukraine. Sarah, if you've got anything to observe, anything to say about what I mean, I know it's something that we return to, and we're going to be returning to it. We could do it for 3 hours every single day. I know it's not anything that particularly you want to talk about, but if you've got observations, if anything has so moved you that you might want to pick up the phone and talk to me about it, that's fine. I mean, you've expressed your outrage. I know it's there. So we cover other stories with the understanding that what is happening in Ukraine is so beyond the pale. It's unbelievable. We fully expect either Vladimir Putin or whatever, some section of his military or his defense apparatus or whatever it is to be charged with war crimes. The description.
In a quarter of a mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the second exit and stay on the parkway, A312.
Take you through the front pages of the papers, obviously, in Ukraine, featuring in some of the testimony. The accounts are quite harrowing. Let me just get to the pages. Sunday People, catch UK's cruelest burglars, disabled granddad John robbed of cash he saved for a few years. People got that one. Mirror this morning. We'll talk about this later on, actually. Tory U-turn after outcry, they say. Hypocrite Raab failed to stop baby P mum release. Junior official was sent to represent him at parole hearing. Not actually sure.
Exit the roundabout onto the parkway.
The Justice Secretary
Continue on A312 for 1.5 miles.
to make himself more effective, or to represent his views more effectively, or tough, or whatever people are asking for. I mean, baby P at 17 months died in agony in the care of Tracy Cooley and 2 others. It would outrage the public if she was to be paroled. So we'll talk about it later. The Mail on Sunday claim an exclusive, which frankly isn't, but I think the Times have rapidly let it, and I'll be speaking to the author of the piece later on. The Tory MP in sex and cocaine sting, they say. Commons probe into harassment claims as father of 2 is caught on secret tape. This is in relation to David Warburton, the MP for Somerset and Frome. Somerton and Frome, I think it should say, not Somerset and Frome. He's being investigated by the parliamentary harassment team, Watchdog. There's a very detailed series of images which you can look up. There's audio recordings as well, messages emerging implicating him in unwanted advances to women and the use of Class A drugs. The picture I will describe as Mr. Warburton pictured with lines of white powder. There certainly appears to be cocaine and lined up in 3 lines, and then a slightly sort of wider area on an upside down roasting tin, and he's sort of got his face in a sort of a pose with his quid, which has been stolen. Sunday Telegraph this morning, again, slightly different picture of the MP David Warburton, clearly taking a selfie. He posted pictures online after losing 8 stone. There's pictures of him lifting weights, etc. He's been suspended from the parliamentary party. Their lead story: Prime Minister's plan for 7 nuclear stations by 2050. Apparently, ministers have agreed to set up a new development vehicle called Great British Nuclear to identify sites, cut through red tape to speed up the planning process and bring together private firms to run each site. Might put that to the Just Stop Oil Extinction Rebellion lot at 8 o'clock, which we'll talk about. Russians are booby-trapping corpses and homes. Third story. The Observer: Tories fear poll disaster over high taxes. MPs turning on the Chancellor over the cost of